Who's going to win this top 25 Big 12 battle? Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Roche Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. It's a shame that the best game of Week 3 in college football is on a Friday night. It's not on Saturday. It's this Arizona versus Kansas State matchup at 8 o'clock on Fox. Both these teams are in the top 25, and this is a very important game when it comes to the Big 12 standings because both Arizona and Kansas State are two of the teams that people believe have the best chance of winning the Big 12, along with Utah. But Arizona and Kansas State have both looked shaky to start the year. Arizona, they did not look good against New Mexico, and they also struggled against Northern Arizona as well. Ironically, in the New Mexico game, their defense was bad, and then in the Northern Arizona game, the Wildcats' offense wasn't doing any good. Even Noah Fifita struggled. So Arizona has to get more consistent if they're going to be able to win this game. And Kansas State, they struggled a little bit against Tulane, but still got to give Tulane a bit of the benefit of the doubt. They still like a pretty solid team, even without Michael Pratt and Willie Fritz. But me and Will indeed preview and predict whether we believe that Arizona can shake off the rust and knock off Kansas State on the road in this top 25 Big 12 battle, or whether we believe that Avery Johnson, even though he's young, will be able to lead Kansas State to victory over Arizona in this massive Big 12 showdown. Hummus Hero, the best game of the weekend might be the Friday night game.
It's the only game between two ranked teams, I think.
Arizona, Kansas State on Fox at night. This is going to be a great game. I will say, though, both teams have had their moments to start the year. Arizona's been shaky on offense and on defense against two inferior opponents, but they're 2-0. Kansas State struggled against Tulane. How good is Tulane? We have no idea. Avery Johnson, though, he's talented, but he's still young. Noah Fifita, really good quarterback, but McMillan, we know what he is. But the problem is Jedd Fisch is gone, and they just don't look as good. That right there worries me for Arizona. They just do not look as good as they could have been if Jedd Fisch did not leave for the Washington job, and they still had all their other players that left. They are an inferior team now, and I think it could catch up with them. Kansas State, though, is, like I said, a little bit shaky as well, but it is on their own field. That's going to be a good atmosphere. What are your thoughts on this one?
If this was at Kansas, I would consider pick. I mean, if this was at Arizona, I can't freaking talk. If this was at Arizona, I would probably pick Arizona. I'm not going to say they cover in this one, but I'll go 34-31 Kansas State. I think it'll be close, but
yeah, you got Scotty B saying Kansas State wins because it's at home, and then he also said Arizona slightly worse than Kansas State, in my opinion. And then Jim, appreciate Jim for stopping by. Says K-State close. And Sports Talk with all says Kansas State has been known to drop weird games, I guess. So like out of nowhere games. And I will say Kansas State is not always the most reliable. We've seen them knock off Oklahoma before when Oklahoma was really good, and then they have blown games against teams that they shouldn't. So do I trust Kansas State? Not fully. Do I trust Arizona? Probably even less so, because they did not look good in their first two games of the season. Though. Game one, their defense was abysmal, right? And in game two, their offense, like Noah Fifita, throwing for under 200 yards in a game, that's bad for Arizona and for Noah Fifita. So I do think Jedd Fisch leaving, it's a bigger loss than people are really taking into account. I agree with you. If this game was at Arizona, I feel like it would make it much more of a toss-up, right? Like you'd have to legitimately think, like, who are we going with here? But I think with it being at Kansas State, it makes it a little bit easier. Avery Johnson is still very young, but he's got enough players around him. And Klieman's a good coach. He is a good coach. And they've had a lot of success under his tenure. They have dropped games like this before. And it is a big spotlight game. Maybe the spotlight gets too big for a young guy in Avery Johnson, but he did look good in the bowl game last year. I think Kansas State will win 34-24. I do think they'll cover. I think they will win by 10. On the one hand, it gets the spotlight to itself, but on the other hand, there isn't really that many big headline games on Saturday, which is frustrating. But this is still going to be a fun game to watch, and the fact that it gets its own spotlight is pretty cool. Yeah, I think Jackson said it is a non-conference game as well. That's what he said. He said, can't believe K-State Arizona will be a non-con game for not just this year, but next year as well. The thing, I think it's weird how sometimes that they have two teams in the same conference and it's a non-conference game. Like one time North Carolina played an ACC opponent, it was like Georgia Tech or something, and it was a non-con game. I'm like, why? I don't understand that, but that's just how they do it. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below whether you believe that Arizona or Kansas State will win this top 25 Big 12 matchup. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.